Hello. Yes, this is one of those videos. The one where I was too, well, sleepy, lazy, or simply just wanted to get something out there without putting too much effort into it. So I simply just plop my phone selfie camera on top of a box that's lying around on the kitchen table, and I click the record button to lay it on the line before I mm, peace out. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? All right. So today was interesting. We officially set our clocks an hour ahead today, which meant that we lost an hour of sleep. So when I was done creating my update video and then publishing it, um, I then went to sleep. I was woken up by my mom, who wanted me to come to church with her. So I did go to church with her. Um, and we greeted the attendees and we sat in the front row. And throughout the whole time, I was having a difficult time staying awake. I kept on nodding, like off, like that. It was crazy. I just had a really difficult time getting invested in what the pastor was saying because I was so tired. I don't think I've been that tired in a long time. I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't drink any coffee, but I went like an entire week without drinking coffee because of my tooth extraction, and I didn't feel tired then. So why do I feel tired now? Well, it probably has something to do with the fact that it was the time pushed an hour ahead, so we lost an hour of sleep. So maybe my body just hasn't properly adjusted yet. And so, yeah, I naturally just started dozing off instead of being fully alert. Total bummer. Also, I've been having late wake up times. So the fact I lost an hour of sleep and woke up at a time that would have been later if it wasn't for the hour change probably was another double whammy. But yeah, it was so bad that as soon as the sermon was done, I asked our family friend who was also in attendance if she could take me home so I could just immediately go to sleep. It's convenient for the both of us since she already lives where I live, anyways. And she agreed. So as soon as it was done, I grabbed a donut at the where they give donuts to the attendees, and then we drove off. When we eventually arrived, I I remember I was sitting in the car as we were driving. I didn't even bother like staying up like to see the car ride. I just closed my eyes on our way there. I was getting a little dozed off and a little nap on the way home. Yeah, I was that sleepy. Until eventually, when we got home, I just immediately went straight to my bed, put on a timer for 1 hour because I wanted enough time to, like, eat or do something else. And then I just went to sleep for 1 hour while listening to some binaural beats from Frequency Tuning, a YouTube channel that specializes in binaural beat sound technology. When I was done getting my rest, I still felt kind of tired, so I decided to add another half hour in, till eventually I decided to get up 15 minutes later instead of the full half hour. My sister reheated the pizza we had from yesterday, and I was like, ooh, okay, that sounds like a good idea. They reheated it in the air fryer in the back of our house in the back room that was recently constructed. So I was like, okay, I'll reheat the pizza and put it in the air fryer to reheat. So it did that 400 degrees for about 5 minutes. When I took it out the first time, it felt like it wasn't properly fully heated through, so I put it in for another 3 minutes. Um, and when it was done, I took my first bite of it, and wow, the flavor was literally out of this world. It was incredible. I don't think I've had a pizza that flavorful probably since Pizza Mania. It was that good. Um, Probably because all of the toppings we put on it were left to coagulate and like you know what do you call that when something like when you we do it with meats when we put sauces on them and put them in a fridge to absorb the flavors. um I'm forgetting the name, but yeah, that's basically what happened with the pizza, and it was great flavor wise. Texture wise was a different story. Not exactly sure, but I love it when my pizza's bottom crust is a perfect crisp crunch with a nice soft and gooey top. This one, sort of, the whole thing just kind of had sort of a annoyingly soft texture. It's hard to describe other than just annoyingly soft, I guess. Where it's like, oh, you want crispy, right? Well, sorry, you're getting soft. Nah, 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 nah. And sort of a rubbery soft too, if that makes sense. It was it was a shame. The flavor more than made up for it though. But, you know, next time I reheat the pizza, I'm doing the pan method because the pan method is probably the best way to reheat your pizza. Now, I decided to heat up some coconut shrimp in the other air fryer in our kitchen over there. And when I did that, I had enough for me. My mom asked me, "You're making more for everyone, right?" And I felt kind of pressured and like, but it was like I really only set out to make them for me. I was like, "Well, you can have some," and she's like, "Okay." So I put it in. I heated the um, coconut shrimp up. When it was done, I put them on a plate with the pizza, and I served one some to my mom. She grabbed only one. I served some to my sister. She seemed like she was taken aback by my willingness to give the coconut shrimp. She said that like my attitude about it seemed stinky, um, and I was like, well, you can have three, you can have one, you can have two. Go ahead. And she's like, I'll take one, but I don't like your attitude about it. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I suppose I was being very annoyed about it. But the reason why was because when I first originally intended to make the coconut shrimp, I intended on just making one serving for myself, and then my mom sort of just jumped in and wanted some. So it was like, okay, I'll give some, but it was a begrudging. I'll give some, not a fully willing. I'll give some because I already set in my mind that I wanted the coconut shrimp to my like as a single serving to myself. So yeah, some drama there, I suppose. Um, then I went into my room and I decided to watch a YouTube video from the channel called Lately. That's Lately. It's a paranormal research and investigation YouTube channel that I think makes outstanding video content if you're into the paranormal, specifically aliens or strange experimental government tech. But it's done in the way the video is made and edited is done sort of a modern style where it feels really, really like Gen Z, if that makes sense, I suppose. But yeah, pretty cool. I enjoy it greatly. Um, this video is about the face peelers in, I think, Colombia is what was mentioned in the video. And basically, it was about how the different villagers throughout 2023 were being harassed and you know taken um, like a beating from these uh, what looks like men who were really tall in these suits, these floating circular like pads and futuristic like laser like technology. And it was so interesting. It was basically about like how potentially this could be some weird black budget underground military operation that has zero congressional oversight, that is used for whatever reason for what seems to be devious evil purposes. If these people go to these remote parts of the world where like people don't are less likely to have cameras or sophisticated means of documenting these events, um, it's really interesting, for sure. I was only able to finish a little bit of it before I was like, oh my goodness, I need to get ready for work. So I got dressed. I said goodbye to my mom and sister. I told them that I love them. And I drove off to work. When I eventually, oh, and I did, during watching the video, I did get an ice cream Fat Boy sandwich bar, which my mom got yesterday, a pack of them. And I did explain the whole situation to my sister about like how I was like, yeah, I really made them only for me, but because I was asked, hey, are you giving them to me? And I was like, oh, okay. And I felt begrudging and like, yeah. She said, next time, just make it obvious that you're only making them for you, so it doesn't seem so like, you know, forced, I guess, that you're don't like giving them someone else when you only made enough for you, you know. Anyways, but yeah, just wanted some coconut shrimp. That's all. Didn't know there was just gonna be a little drama behind it. Moving along. So yeah, I eventually drove to work. When I arrived, I I remember I was walking to the store. I punched in. I looked at the list to see what duties I had for the day. My first 4 hours was spent doing sweeps, so I got started. But holy cow, this was one busy day today. And Sundays are our most busy days of the week, so that makes a lot of sense. I just spent the time, but I did see one of my coworkers who I was talking about like finances with, and they said, "Ooh, you better write it down and give it to me so I know how to do my own research." And I was able to write down a note and quickly give it to my coworkers. So now, like, and I needed, there was an urgency to do it today because they told me they were going to be transferred in about a week, never to see this store that I was at ever again. Or if they did, it would be a long time in the future, very spotty appearances. So I was like, well, if any time was as good as any, it would be now. So I made the list for the financial advice I was sharing, and I gave it to my coworkers so they would be prepared. So yeah, that felt good. It's always good to when you know like there's a way to bolster your finances or be ready for tough storms. You can let someone else in on the know of that information and help other people out. It's a really good feeling because you're hopefully putting their you're hopefully giving them the tools they need to be on the right path for their financial future. So yeah, really cool. Moving along, I remember I just did a lot of sweeping for the produce area, um, and the break room area, and a bit for the what was it called again? The storefront area. But there were I was very like like Stretch Armstrong, push and pulled in different directions. It was a really chaotically busy day today, like from needing to take out the trash in the front to needing to stay in the front to bag for the customers because the lines were really big this time around. It was a really busy day. Um, to Man, what else did I do? Oh yeah, take orders out to customers in the front of the store. There was even a misunderstanding where someone was like, "Hey, I'm here for this person," and this for the life of me, I couldn't find like the person on my phone or on the shelves where we would have the person's stuff. So I was like, I don't know. Are you sure you went to the right store? And they showed me, and yes, it was the right store on their phone. So I was at a guess. I asked our manager what's going on. They decided to look at the computer to see what was going on. Turns out that one of my coworkers had already taken all the stuff in a cart and scanned it all and signed it off and walked outside to look for the person who was doing the delivery, only to walk back into the store and discover that they were waiting inside all along. So it was all a big misunderstanding. Because that was something interesting to discuss. Well, hmm. Anywho, after that, I remember I eventually was punching out for lunch. So when I punched out for lunch, my original plan was simply just to reheat more pizza when I got home to eat that for lunch. But when I was walking out, I overheard that the Girl Scouts' last day for selling cookies was today, and I was like, well, I never bought any Thin Mint cookies. Might as well do that right now, considering that they're never going to be around for another year. So I got a box of cookies. The price was $6. All I had was $5 on hand, but the ladies who ran the establishment were nice enough to uh, give me the box anyways. So thank you very much for that. You didn't have to do that. You could have just said, be on your way. Come back when you have $6. But no, they gave me the box. So that was a nice gesture. It's always nice when stuff like that happens. Let you know there's some real good people in the world, I suppose. Or just nice people. Cool. I drove home. When I arrived, turns out that we actually had a meal that was reheated by my mom. Um, it was a combination of rice and chicken mole. So I put the rice and chicken mole in a plate. I heated it in the microwave for 1 minute and 40 seconds. And I ate that while listening to a Ross Coulthart interview where I was talking to a man who was one of the experiencers of something called the GATE program when he was a kid, where apparently the government sent out like researchers who would go to different schools and test kids' psionic abilities. So perhaps they could have those psionic abilities for and bring them into even deeper training, so they could um, have someone who could potentially help them with you know psionic related tasks. I suppose what those tasks are, who knows? I mean, I have heard rumors that apparently controlling UFOs require psionic abilities. So maybe that, I don't know. It's a crazy world out there. That's all I'm going to say. Um, the guy, though, in the interview did sound kind of unsure about throughout the whole time. And I'm not really sure if I really believe him, but it was mildly interesting, I suppose. After I was done eating the chicken mole and the rice, I walked up and I drove off um, back to work. When I eventually got back to work, it was an interesting schedule. It was like the first hour was just front end bagging. Then the next 2 hours was pushing carts. And then the last hour was spent doing sweeps. Throughout that whole time, one of my coworkers wanted me to do the trash as soon as I possibly could. But the lines and were so busy at the front end that I just felt like I knew I was going to be called in to stay in the front anyways to help with bagging. So I was like, well, I better stay until these lines get controlled, right? And it didn't take until like 9:20, and even then, like I was still on lot duty, so I had to go outside to see if there was any lot carts that needed to be pushed back in the corral, and lo and behold, there were lots of carts. So it was a really crazy busy time at the store. Sundays usually always are. Eventually, I was able to take out the trash. I took out the front end, and the bathroom and the upstairs, and the back receiving room trashes. So that was cool. Um, I also refilled the bags in the front of the check stands, and I closed the produce blinds, and I wiped down check stands 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Um, I wasn't able to get to 1 and 2 because by then, this is the first time that it took a long time to get the closing tasks done because the store was just that busy. Um, we needed to make sure that like the customers had everything they needed because the customers are always first, and it was a real stretch and pull situation. But eventually, I was able to get all my closing duties done. I said goodbye to my coworkers and my boss. Well, co-boss, anyways. I punched out. Um, my boss walked me out because he actually got up the same time that I finished the last check stand I did, and then we walked off in our separate ways. Where I went in my car and I tried finding something to listen to while I drove off. I decided to listen to the Gorillaz song "To Binge." I know I really like that song. I think it sounds really nice. And I drove off home. When I eventually got home, it was completely silent. Everyone was either in bed or off doing their own thing. So I decided the first thing I would do would be to grab my Nintendo Switch, and I actually got the VR Labo kit, and it wasn't the full kit. It was only the one with like the gun and just the goggles themselves. But the reason why I got the goggles was because Nintendo recently released the their Virtual Boy Nintendo Switch Online library. And I was like, I want to know what the Virtual Boy Online library looks and feels like. So I decided to go grab my VR goggles since I already had the Labo ones, which were compatible with the Switch. And I downloaded the Virtual Boy app and I booted it up. And I immediately went for the Wario Land Virtual Boy game because, for what I hear, that's pretty much the best Virtual Boy game available on the device. Everything else is extremely mixed. Some of it's like, oh wow, that's actually kind of neat. To what were they thinking? Um, to oh, there's an actually good game in this collection, and that one actually good game is the Wario game itself. So, hey, at least you get one decent title out of this whole thing. But to be fair, though, I have not played it. I only played two titles, and there's like five available. I think it was really interesting how they did it. Like because it's the Virtual Boy, you can only play using their VR goggle attachment, or you can go through the Nintendo store to buy the Switch Online member exclusive Virtual Boy plastic shell. It's just like a one-to-one creation of the original Virtual Boy plastic shell, and slide your Switch in there so you can, you know, see what it was like to play Virtual Boy games back in those old days. Um, but yeah, I used the Labo one. The way I did it, it was funny. I was like laying on the floor with my back like up on the floor, and I had the cardboard VR thing like basically sitting on my face. And I took out the Joy Cons and I just controlled it like while laying down like cross pose. The way I'm describing it just now makes it sound hilarious though. But yeah, it was really really funny. But the actual game itself, Wario, yep, it's a perfectly fine, competent, interesting little platform game. Um, you run into enemies, you crush blocks and get power ups. Uh, there's like a betting aspect in the middle, like mini games between each level. The whole point of the game is like you fall down into like a cavern, and you have to go from the very bottom of the cavern back all the way up to the top. Um, so that's the whole premise. Like it's like you gotta play your way through to get to the very top of out from underground. So I guess that's kind of cool. But yeah, it was a really interesting game. I decided to put a pin on it, and then I wanted to try another game. They had 3D Tetris on there, so I was like, well, might as well give that a shot. I've never tried 3D Tetris before. Maybe this should be interesting. Um, I didn't really like it. First of all, the frame rate was extremely choppy, so it just looked really unappealing. Um, Second of all, the way like it controlled just felt so janky. Like, you have these blocks and you have to move like the the blocks a certain way, and I don't know. It just something about it felt unpolished and not not as fun as real Tetris. It felt like a more convoluted way of just playing classic Tetris. I don't think we need a 3D Tetris. Maybe it was probably a novel and interesting idea back when they tried it out, but nowadays 2D Tetris is really all you need. Um, it's quick, it's easy to get. You just immediately know what you're doing right from the get go, and you can enjoy it for as long as you can. And that's really all there is to it, honestly. Um, Yeah, but this just felt like trying to take something like a classic dish and doing something unnecessarily new and bold with it that no one asked for, and that just feels like a overly convoluted way of enjoying a thing that was already fine to begin with. That's what this felt like. Yeah, they were just trying to find a reason to like, oh, it's supposed to be a VR goggle device. How do we make justify the whole 3D effect? Um, Tetris 3D, you know, doesn't really work. The 3D effect wasn't that convincing, anyways, in this game either. Wario Land did have a cool parallax scrolling effect in its levels that I really enjoyed. I thought it was really cool, but this one, the 3D effect was more difficult to parse, I would say. Um, and then after that, I remember I decided to just end it there because the cardboard resting on my face was really starting to irritate my skin. And then I decided to bust out some Cheetos, the naked Cheeto variety that I got a while back. I had those. I gotta be honest, like the first time I tried them, I kind of liked them, but the second time I didn't like them as much. They tasted much less flavorful and a little more bland to me this time around. I'm not exactly sure why, but it was pretty disappointing. I got a Pepsi, Diet Pepsi from the back fridge, and then I decided to finish watching that Lately video, which was really interesting, really well edited, really well researched. I highly recommend the face peeler episode, really good. I then wanted to watch another episode of Lately, so I found one where apparently there was a guy who found like an alien and a craft in the middle of the forest on the walk with his dog, and his dog got killed by the being, and he decided to knock the being out with a stick after he saw what happened. And they dragged the Bing to his living space and put it in the freezer for some reason. And they started filming like videos and like posting them like as VHS tapes and online. It was really interesting. Um, yeah, and what more to say? Then I was like, oh yeah, I need to make my update video. I don't feel like getting all the you know, crazy stuff together. I'll just record it on my selfie cam and call it a day, and here you are. Well, that's pretty much the day in a nutshell overall. Once again, yesterday I did do an hour of work on Brain Jam, but no work on art, and now I think it's ballooning up to like 5 hours and like something minutes, probably, maybe 4 hours again. I don't know, but it's getting out of hand, and yeah, I have tomorrow off. In fact, I have the next 3 days off. I'm thinking the best thing to do if I want to get back on track is to just do like just to do a huge block of work in one go tomorrow. I think that'd be really smart for both drawing and Brain Jam Extra. Yeah. All right. Well, now I'm going to take my vitamins. I will brush my teeth and I will go to sleep. So, thank you for tuning into this episode. I very much appreciate it. And I will see you in the next episode or video or update vlog thing. Anyways, bye. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.